Okay, this is your day 6 tip for back to school. So, probably by now your child is back in school. So, we want to understand a couple of the reasons over the next couple of days why that environment can be so challenging for our child. And the first one we're going to talk about today is overstimulation. So, for so many of our neurodivergent children, the school environment is incredibly overstimulating. Now, I'll talk a lot more about overstimulation in my group program and my membership, places like that. But I'm going to give you a little analogy to help you understand it right now, which is I want you to think about all of the things that your brain processes all day long. And that might be sound, people coming into your space, it might be smells, it might be the feeling of clothes on your skin. All of that information is things that our brain has to process. Now, I was working with this amazing young person who was autistic recently, and she said to me, sometimes it feels a little bit like there's a queue. There's a queue of things that my brain needs to process. And it feels like that buffering symbol that happens sometimes when you're trying to load Netflix and it won't load. It's going round and round and round like this. And I'm aware there's a queue, but I can't process it all. And I just thought that was such a neat way of explaining it. And I love a visual of understanding what overstimulation can feel like for our child who might be processing lots and lots of different things in the classroom setting. They might be processing that child over there that's rustling, or this child who's coming into their space and the teacher's trying to tell them something. And there's also this kind of noise that's happening in the back of the classroom. And so there's lots and lots of things queuing up in our child's brain. Now, when we get overstimulated, there's only one way to reduce the stimulation, which is to actually help your child be in an environment where there's less things for them to process by actually removing some of the stimulation. And for many of our children, they'll come home from a school environment and they kind of explode, right? They might completely unravel. Maybe you have a huge meltdown in your hands, or maybe they cry, or you might have a child who completely withdraws. These can be signs of overstimulation. Now, it might not just be overstimulation on your own, and we're going to talk about another reason tomorrow, but the overstimulation piece is really big. And what can happen is sometimes our child can come home from school, they're overstimulated, which means their brain has that big queue and their brain can't catch up, which means they're dysregulated because we can't be relaxed and calm when there's a huge queue in our brain. When we're when we're overstimulated, that means we're dysregulated, which means we're not feeling relaxed and happy in ourselves. And then they come into a home environment and parents don't know their child's overstimulated. So then what happens is we might be around a sibling who's being loud. We might be asking them to do things. And so we're unmeaningly, we're actually adding to the stimulation. So what we need to do, and I want you to try this, is I want you to create a little bit of a buffer when your child comes home. I want you to create a little bit of quiet time for them, because this is going to be so helpful for them in terms of helping their brain catch up, helping their brain calibrate all of the overstimulation that they've experienced during the day. And the only way to do that is for us to create an environment that has a lower stimulation. Okay, so I want you to think about creating that kind of buffer and quiet time. I know sometimes we can get through the door and we're like, right, okay, we need to get clothes and you need to change, and then we need to do this, and then we have to go here, and then we have to do the bath, and then we have to do homework, and we have to get you fed, and then you have to go in the bath, and all of these things, right? But I can tell you how much easier all of that's going to be if you create, even if it's like a 15-20 minute period of time where there's just some quiet time. That might mean you need to create some buffer space away from a sibling. It might mean that there needs to be, if there's a parent who can be with that child playing a quieter game with them, and just really letting them know. I mean, maybe they might want that time on their own, but letting them know, like, when we get home, we're going to have a little bit of quiet time, right? Really letting our child catch up, their brain to catch up with the overstimulation. This can be so incredibly helpful. So I'd love for you to try this. So that is your day 6 tip. Let me know how you get on. And I can't wait to share this additional thing that's going to help you so much after school on day 7 tomorrow.